Okay, so looking at the capabilities. So if you're looking at your capabilities, at this stage you should definitely have a topic. It should be in a question, you should have some focus questions, and hopefully you're gearing towards your proposal. Your capability needs to be selected after you've got your topic because it has to relate very specifically to your topic. So what is a capability? It's something that is in all of your subjects. You probably don't realize that your teachers have selected capabilities that you're working on anyway. In the research project, you need to do one or more. Depending on your project, it might be more suitable for you to do two, might be suitable for you to do one. I would go for picking one first and then see how you go. Okay. So capabilities will be ingrained. It's really important that you do them. It is one of your performance standards in the folio. It's worth 1/6 of your grade in the folio. And so that means that we do expect you to talk about your capabilities on every page and reflect on them and show your understanding of them and make sure that you include them in your planning and your proposal, and you will be marked on them in your folio, so it is important that you do them well. The other thing is that they just make you a better human. When we talk through what they are, you'll start to see that these are essential life skills. The research project isn't designed just to be difficult and a pain in your butt. It is designed to be awesome in that it's going to make you better at research, but it's also going to make you better at literacy and numeracy and research and ethical pointers and personally and socially and a whole bunch of other things. So what are they? There are 7. If any of you have older brothers or sisters who've done the research project previously, they possibly did different capabilities, so you cannot steal their work. It's been changed to match up with the Australian curriculum, so these are the 7, and they basically, whatever topic you do, there's one that's going to match. I've yet to come across a topic that doesn't match one of these somehow. You really need to choose one that practically links to your topic. You know, if you're going to do a topic that has lots of maths in it, numeracy probably is a good topic to choose. But you also really need to think about it on a conceptual level, and this is a little bit trickier, but it basically is saying, like, how does your question help you do this? So if you can link it really clearly to your question, it's going to make your life a lot easier. The examples we've got here is of, should Australia stop refugee boats? Okay. It is a practical topic about intercultural understanding because we're really thinking about, should people from other cultures be accepted in Australian culture? And you're really going to integrate a range of views of people in your research. You're going to do interviews with different people, take on different perspectives, etc., etc. But it's also a key cultural issue. So on a conceptual level, this question is asking you to think about what Australians value. And that is a really powerful cultural statement. So it's not just you're going to talk to lots of people, it's that you're actually going to critically evaluate what it means to be Australian or to be a refugee and how those things deal or work together. So I just want to talk through a couple of examples. I'm not going to go through all the capabilities because I'm not going to do your work for you. But I'm going to give you a little bit of an idea of how you should tackle the capability. So the SACE board provides an outline of every capability, and it has a little table underneath, and the handout is available underneath this video, and you will be able to break down by picking some of those little descriptors and figuring out how you do them. Now, in addition, we have prepared another handout that has a range of practical activities that relate to various capabilities. Use that to help you get started. But again, we would be expecting that you really do cater them to your questions. So just copying what we've done is not going to get you the best grade. If we look at this one here, this is the example that the SACE board provides, and it's talking about your personal social capability. So this is about personal identity, planning, working with others, learning about community life, etc., etc. Okay. How do you do that? Well, in your planning section, you need to go through your capabilities and you need to have a look at which elements of that capability match. Now, for some of you, you might get all 7 dot points match. For some of you, only 1 does. I would be expecting that you're really grappling with this across different capabilities. So don't just hone in on one and make the decision. Check to see if other capabilities work as well. And this will be one of the things you should do with your teacher or in your planning process. you can see that this person has picked that they're going to participate actively and responsibility in their learning, work and community life as one of their dot points. And then when we go to the other side, you can see that they are doing this because they're going to actively be involved in something. And you can notice that in the breakdown of it, it is actually using the words of the descriptor. So there is that idea of community life in the council, and she is going to use strong opinions and have ideas that she shares, and there's a real sense of using it. So it's really clear, there's no ambiguity there. It's not I'm going to read some stuff and feel better or whatever. It's actually that there's a real action happening, and that's what we want to see in your capability journals and planning. So let's take a look at the literacy capability in a little bit more depth and detail. So it's saying communicating with a range of people in a variety of contexts. Most of you are going to do that. You're going to talk to different people, you're going to do surveys, you can do interviews, etc., etc. Asking questions, expressing opinions, taking different perspectives into account. Yep, most of you will do that as well. Now, that's not to say everyone should choose literacy though, because what if your question doesn't actually really think about the importance of literacy? Now, for some of you, you might be able to mention that your topic is really biased. So you have a lot of perspectives that are really heavily defended by different sides. Literacy then really does come into play because you're going to be thinking about using your critical literacy skills as you're annotating your sources. But on the other hand, you're also going to be looking at how a person uses their perspective to influence others. Maybe you're going to be thinking about how things are communicated in the media. The refugee issue is another good example because you could really critically analyze the language used to express this issue and how it influences people. That's how you're starting to do your literacy. So when you are looking at this, really try to break it down. The more evidence you have of planning this, the better, because we can really start to see where you are at the moment. Don't be afraid to say, I don't get it, because that's a really great start. If we can see you don't get it on the first day, and then after 10 weeks you do get something, you've done development and you're marked on development. So that's important. A little example that we did as a class in Year 11 is this little table here where we picked a descriptor and we thought about the things that we were going to do practically, and then we looked at how that linked to the question. So this person was going to do underwater knitting as their topic and whether it should be included in the Olympics, and this person picked literacy as their capability because they were communicating with a range of people in a variety of contexts. They figured that they were going to send lots of emails, which was lots of different perspectives, but that's not really like the most exciting reason for picking literacy. In fact, it kind of isn't a good reason for picking literacy because everyone's going to send emails and get contacts. So how do you link it more intricately or in a more sophisticated way? Well, here's that link to their question. They've decided that because underwater knitting is very controversial and they have so many different perspectives that they have to try and integrate, they're going to be really using their literacy capability here to discern those different opinions and different perspectives and figure out what's going on. Now that is much better use of the literacy capability. It's still fine to say we're going to send emails, but at the other hand, you could actually make it a lot more stronger. Now, this is something that to begin with, you probably won't feel comfortable doing. It's hard to do this. Have a look at some of the examples we've provided, have a look at some of the materials we've got there, and it does not have to be long. You don't have to be writing 2,000 words planning capability. Just knock up a few pointers, let us see what you're thinking, and please, please be creative, be inventive. That is really, really, really important. In fact, so important, it has its own capability. So again, we can see that these statements are really vague. Understand the nature of innovation, access information, organize information, yada, yada, yada. Using just those vague statements is very low level. So if you write in your proposal, I will think critically, logically, ethically, and reflectively, we'll go, awesome, you read the material. But if you want to do much better, you will then start to think, why will I think critically? How will I think critically? And what effect will that critical thinking have? That's really important. Why will I think critically? Well, because my topic requires some critical judgments. My sources might need to be analysed. How will I do it? Well, I'm going to think about purpose and bias and authorship and all those things. And what effect is that going to have? Well, it's going to allow me to be more aware of my source perspective, to integrate different ideas. Maybe it's going to allow me to actually really critically understand the topic at a level that I wouldn't have been able to access otherwise. Maybe I'll get to see that there's various arguments. Maybe I'll have to judge those sources and realize that some of them are flawed. There's so many different things that could happen. Okay? Please try to be specific. It's going to make your work so much clearer and going to make marking you on this so much more interesting. We know the SACE descriptors. We don't want to read them word for word 120 times. Really, really clearly link it to your question. That is the key point here.